Well, just doing a story this week on Darian and Donte and what they've been able to do with interceptions, and they, at this point they're starting to make it look easy, which obviously it is not. What is it about those two guys that they get their hands on the ball so much?
I mean, I think it starts with the preparation, and yeah, all the fans and everybody sees the interception and think that those guys are just magical, that they can make those type of plays. But, seeing those guys in the film room and how much they study, is good when you see the results out on the field. So I would credit it all to their preparation. They go out every day in practice, they work at it, they get their hands on balls in practice, and it's translating into the games, and hopefully they can keep it up.
You've been around a lot of great defensive backs around here, and unless they somehow get shut out the rest of the year, they're going to end up with more than anybody who's played here in the FBS era. What is different about them, I guess, compared to some of those other guys? Why have they been able to get more?
I don't really know. I think the one thing about them that's the same as everybody that's gotten a bunch is how they prepare, like I said. But, those guys go out, and they have a beat on things. And so, they have some unbelievable instincts, and that's just God-given. They're able to see plays and see things. And, at the end of the day, that they trust their instincts. And the one thing about both of them is they can really catch it. So, it's not a whole lot of drops. We decided last game that they get their hands on a lot of balls that they don't come up with. And it's been fun to watch.
Most guys you see get 6-7 interceptions in a season. The next season they get 2 because people they're aware of them. They stay away from them. They don't make a mistake in that area. Those guys 3 years in a row. I mean, shake your head at some point that people keep going after them.
No, I mean, it's college football, and the other teams, they also have great players. So, we're going up against some great players this week again. And so, those guys are going to go to their guys, and, our guys will be out there, and we see what happens. But, the one thing I really like about those two guys, again, and I'll hit it for the last time, is just watching them work. I mean, in the film room, they're some of the best I've been around. And so it's that constant knowledge. They want to know, they push the envelope. They want more. They want more. They want more information, and it's really starting to help us.
I know they've laughed about it a little bit with us, but how competitive are they with each other? How much does it matter to them who gets the most at the end of the day?
It's competitive. It's competitive, and it's fun for them. And so, on the sidelines, it's pretty neat during the game. But, that they push each other, and at the end of the day, they want each other to be great. And so, I think they'll be happy if they walk out of here a tie. I don't think they'll have any gripes about it.
How are they taking film study and stuff to maybe another level, or doing what's more than what's required of them? I guess is there anything abnormal about what they do in terms of film study?
Yeah, they go above and beyond what's required of them. I mean, so. Those two guys, I know their regimen. I know them like clockwork. I know when they come in and watch film, they want certain things on certain days, and that's just them. And so they'll go in there by themselves and watch film. And so I'll say they have taken it to a whole new level. We have a lot of DBs who have played in the National Football League, that are in the Football League, that also study film. But these guys, I mean, they watch it. They watch it a lot. And, I think nowadays with technology where it is, these guys, they have Huddle, and they're able to watch it from home, whereas opposed to back in the day, we didn't necessarily have that, and those guys didn't have it. So you're always at the facility every time you were watching film. Well, now these guys are at the facility, but they also go home, so they're constantly getting information every night. And usually, by you get in the next day to watch practice and make the correction, they've already watched and moving on.
I was going to say, Marcel kind of hinted at that this week, that by the time you guys usually present the game plan, they kind of are one step ahead, or they're ready for it. They kind of know what you're coming with, I guess.
Yeah. And, like I said, it starts with before the game. So those guys are in there. They come in and ask questions. What'd you see here? What'd you see there? And so they're football junkies, and that's what I love about them. And so, again, their knowledge of the system, what we want them to do is really, really high. And the type of competitors they are really, really high.
With Darian, I know you mentioned you've had a lot of guys come through here in terms of DBs that have gone on to the NFL. And down at Mountain West Media Days, he said that he submitted his paperwork, and they suggested that he come back for this season. I was just curious if you had any interaction with him at all during that time when he might have been kind of, weighing what he was going to do there.
Yeah, we all knew what he was doing. And for that kid, it was just finding out doing his research. And so, that's this day and age. A lot of guys do that. And so everybody was aware. It wasn't a surprise. And, when he got the results back, he made no bones about it. He was coming back. And so, I think for him, it was just gathering information on exactly what was going on.
How have you seen him? I mean, I see it's Stu this week, and he said, yeah, but is Darian a kid that you think could play in the league after this?
I do. I think the future's very bright for him. He's a guy that has a lot of range. He's a big guy. He moves around well, and at the end of the day, he makes plays. And so, it's a players' league. And so I think, he closes out this season strong. He continues to get better because he's not anywhere close to where we need him to be successful here. But he continues to develop, and everything goes his way. I think he's a guy that could have a shot when it's all over.
Was there anything in that whole process that they said they might want to see him improve? And it seems like, I don't know if you could say he's playing more physical this year, but I mean, he's definitely making a lot of plays.
No, they don't give you any of that.
Okay.
I mean, you basically submit your paperwork, and they say you should come out or you should go back to school. So it's very vanilla with what they give you.
I got you.
Any surprise that they told him to come back? Is it kind of what you expected?
I don't know. I didn't get involved in that, and so those guys are paid to do a job, and when he got his results back, we got him back, and on our way we went.
Donte, obviously looks a little different than your average cornerback, a little bit smaller, but that's never been an issue. What's he done to kind of overcome that and be able to handle big receivers and not have it be an issue?
He's an ultimate competitor, and so for him, his size, it doesn't bother him. For him, when he takes the field, he's just as big as everybody else. And so if you guys watch him play, and I know you guys have, his size does not hinder him at all. And so it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch a guy that goes out there, competes, and lays it on the line, and he does it all for his teammates.
Were you here when you guys recruited him?
Yeah.
What kind of conversations did you guys have? I mean, he was 150 pounds back then. Was it a concern for you guys?
He's 130.
He's 130.
But I mean, he was at our football camp and they couldn't catch a pass, and so the whole staff was here at the time, and Coach Yates was also here coaching the DBs, and I was here, and I mean, it was very easy to tell when you're in there and every guy lines up, all the balls are incomplete or intercepted. It was pretty easy.
I know he did that in high school too. I remember there was like a Mr. Interception story in the Los Angeles Times or something back when he was in high school. I mean, ball skills are one thing, but what does that kid have that the ball just seems to find him?
I don't know. I think it would be his instincts. Obviously, he has some God-given ability. He can see things, and at the end of the day, he's a playmaker. And so, those guys, it's hard to teach a kid how to make plays. Some guys are just born with it. Some guys can do it, and that's him. And so, the thing that really helps him is he prepares himself in the film room to let his God-given ability take over when he's out there on the field.
I know he said Whittick surprised him with the fastball last week. Was he out there with the jugs machine ramping it up this week? Are you ready for that again?
No, it was just one of those things. I think when you get in the heat of the battle, you're used to things coming a certain way. And, from what I could tell on the sidelines and talking to those guys, the ball was coming pretty fast. So maybe I need to start throwing the ball harder in practice or something. I don't know if I have the type of arm strength.
You guys, I've seen the BSU recruits Twitter account use DBU and stuff like that. In order for that to be a tradition, you have to have the past, but you also have to have the present. And how are these guys doing a good job of carrying on the tradition that's been set there?
The model we use is actually DB FAMU is what we use. And so it's really just, embracing that family part of it. So it's good. We have all the NFL guys and the past guys, they come back. And it's a lot of pride really in that room because when you go out there and you're on the field, you have to be a family. It's no different to me than O-line or D-line. When you go out there as a defensive secondary, everybody knows if you make a mistake and everybody knows if you make a really good play. And so for us, it's continuing to foster, that family type atmosphere. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of pride in that room from the past players that are going on and doing well. And so, as a coach, it's neat to see those guys come back and be around those guys and, help our guys know that, hey, you can accomplish your goal if you just come here, work hard, and do what we ask you to do.
Who's on the wall in your room? Who are the key guys?
Quentin Michael, Kyle Wilson, Orlando Scandrick, Jerron Johnson, George Iloka, Gerald Alexander, Chris Carr, Shenard Hartz, Brandon Thompson, Jamar Taylor.
Running out of room.
Yeah, it's a pretty full wall, and so hopefully we continue to add to that. And again, like I said, the neat thing is all those guys come back, and so it's one thing to have guys on your wall, but it's one thing to have those guys come back and actually sit in position meetings when we're having position meetings or trying to coach guys up. And so that's the neat part of it, and that's why the family is in the middle of the DBU.
I know for us, it's exciting to see a matchup like Higgins against your guys' secondary. I would assume for those guys, it's fun. What's this week like getting ready for that kind of matchup?
Yeah, you're going against one of the top players in the country. A guy who finished second for the Bolitnikoff. He's Mountain West preseason player of the year, and he's as good as advertised. So for us, we have to go out there and play our absolute best in order to have a chance to stick with him. He's a guy who had a big game against us last year, and, I know he's working hard too. And so, he's a dang good player, and he makes a lot of plays. And the thing that he constantly shows on film is guys know he's going to get the ball, and he still makes plays. So, we'll have to wait till Saturday, see what happens.
What sets him apart?
sets.
It sets him apart.
Higgins?
Yeah, Higgins as a receiver. What sets him apart?
You know, he has unbelievable hands, and so he gets his hands on the ball. It's getting caught, you know, and that's all I can really see from tape and seeing on the field. I would imagine a guy that's had the success he has, he probably works his tail off. He probably studies a lot of film, because it's not a whole lot of guys that don't study, that don't prepare, that can just walk out there and put up numbers like he has. So he's a dang good player, and it'll be a really, really tough challenge for us.
If I remember right, Donte missed that game last year. He eager to play him this year?
Hey, he hasn't said one thing about it. So, you know, that's the thing about those guys. They prepare every day. And so there's no highs, there are no lows. We prepare every day to get ready for the game. We treat them all the same.
With one more from me, just going back to last game. I mean, you saw the film study and stuff you talk about. It seems like it really paid off. At times a joke, but it seemed like Darian was running routes better than Hawaii was running their own routes at times. Was that one of the more impressive performances? I mean, he was a safety that's really covering as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been covering, but yeah, I mean, he had a great game. You know, I thought Donte had a great game, and so, you know, it was good to see it all come together. The one thing about it, those guys know, you know, you're never as good as what you think, and you're never as bad as what you think, and so playing DB, it's a week-to-week thing. You know, one week you can give up a bunch of yards, and you're not very good, and the next week you don't give up a lot, and people think that you're unbelievable. So for us, you know, we just want to stay the course, and so, you know, we know as a group we're not anywhere close to where we need to be, and every day we're going to come in here, we're going to work in the classroom, we're going to work on the field and see what happens.